Before that, when we talk about sustainability, usually it's about waste and it's about energy. So now food came into the limelight, and then it's kind of a new thing. Not many people are in that industry yet trying to do something about it in terms of sustainability. So I thought that why not let it be me? There's a lack of expertise out there, and I myself have not done any form of agriculture before. In fact, farming was never one of my passions.
I always believe this, nothing is impossible until you make it possible.
I think for sustainable companies, you are definitely much more purpose-driven.
Hi everyone, welcome to Asia Business Owner Podcast, ABOS for short. With the changing economy, especially after pandemic, do you ever wonder why business lifespan is getting shorter? Do you ever wonder what causes it? Are you one of the business owners who are in the midst trying to figure a way out? Or are you intending to start your own business venture believing that everything will work out but somehow you feel something is missing? Or do you want to start a business however, you do not know what to go for? If you have all these questions on the list that I mentioned earlier or many more that I have not mentioned, then we are here to fill the gap.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And this is Ben. Before we start, I would like to encourage everyone to do us a free service by subscribing to our ABOS podcast and share around so that we can be viewed by many more audience and continue to create more collaboration opportunity and have more successful business owners to share their knowledge and experience with you. Well, today, we all know Singapore is an urbanized country where we focus on modern technology, advanced infrastructure, and high educational standard. Many steps into arena which is viewed as the future. However, we have a group of entrepreneurs here today entering an industry which require tougher mindset, innovative ideas, and resilient character. And we call them the urban farmers. Hi, James. Welcome to our podcast.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, mind you share with us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, I was actually an ex-military officer. I spent about 21 years in the Singapore Armed Forces as an army officer from the Guards Formation, if you know what that is about. And then I left in 2022. I decided to leave before my retirement age of 50 to actually do something very different, right? And that's because I did my ikigai, if you know what that is, basically a Japanese concept or framework to think about what is your life purpose. I thought that I want to do something that is related to sustainability, and then I need the runway to actually build the expertise and the experience in order to transit properly.
So this is the reason that triggered you to go into urban farming.
Correct. Yeah. So urban farming was just also incidental because at a point of time when I was considering leaving, I managed to reconnect with an old friend, like 20 years, I think now it's probably like almost 30 years ago already. Yeah. And then he happened to be doing farming in Singapore. And then after that, we met up where I saw what he did, and then he asked me to help him. And then it was just nice that during COVID, food was one of the problems that was highlighted, right? Because the supermarket shelves were empty. So it kind of got into the spotlight. Before that, when we talk about sustainability, usually it's about waste and it's about energy. So now food came into the limelight, and then it's kind of a new thing. Not many people are in that industry yet trying to do something about it in terms of sustainability. So I thought that why not let it be me?
I think it's a very interesting and daring move that you actually execute. In the road that not many footprint was found, and what are the challenges that you face when you step into urban farming?
Yeah, I think Singapore have a very small agriculture industry simply because we have a lack of land. And in a way, there's a lack of expertise out there. And I myself have not done any form of agriculture before. In fact, farming was never one of my passions, right? The other thing is the part about business. Because I came from the military, I never done business. So basically, I struggled with both the business side of things as well as the farming side of things. And then we tend to, I think for people who are new entrants into the industry, right, we tend to see what's trending. And at the point of time, what's trending is indoor farming, high-tech agriculture, right? And everybody was jumping in and having that kind of mindset that you can actually grow fast and make money quickly like a tech company, a typical digital tech company. But of course, you know that the last few years, many of these farms that have been heavily invested in have closed, right? And because they are not commercially viable. So I think there are multiple struggles, and all the struggles all happen all at once. So it wasn't easy.
Wow. This is definitely not easy. Okay, from what we hear from you. And I was just curious, I think there's a lot of curiosities about going into this industry. Do you need to have the passion in order to do so?
Definitely you need passion because I didn't know then, but I know now that being a farmer is actually at the shortest end of the stick in terms of the food supply chain, right? So you bear all the risks with regards to climate, and then you get the worst margins. And if you're not passionate about it, you will just give up. Because if you are looking to make money, right, this is not the place to make money. Right? This is the place that you go to make impact, not make money.
But the thing is that the thing is that, okay, I mean, if there's no margin, there's no profit, right? There's no profit, there's no mission, right? Or there's no margin, there's no mission, right? So how do you juggle this part here?
I think it's not really no margin, no mission. It's more like no margin, you can't survive. You can't survive, you cannot complete the mission, right? Yeah, so you have to survive first, right? So you have to think out of the box on how to address this whole problem. So currently what my company did was we didn't go into commercial farming. What we went into urban farming. When we say urban farming, it's very different from the commercial urban farms out there. Usually when people talk about urban farm or they use the term vertical farm, they refer to indoor use artificial lights, right? And then for us, we don't use artificial lights most of the time. We go outdoor, right? We try to use natural ventilation, natural light as far as possible so that you reduce your carbon footprint as well as your energy costs, right? And at the same time, our business is in building the farm for clients like schools, hotels, nursing homes, hospitals, communities, charities. So places that generally have space, they have a group of people that can actually do part of the farming at least, and also to consume the food so that you don't have to let the food travel long distances. Or they have a central kitchen, right? So schools fall into the category, right? Hotels fall into the category, shopping malls as well, right? Then you can do farm to kitchen. So we actually design and install the farm on site for them. And then we can also help them grow by providing a farm as a service. So it's something like I sell you an aircon, but I also sell you the aircon maintenance service. So that's our business model, which is quite different from the commercial farms where they sell the produce for profits, right? For us, we don't really sell the produce for profits, right? Our profit come from other areas. We also do education, right? Because it just happened that most of the clients that we have, they are actually schools. And then 2022, when we first launched our farm at Neo Tiew, then we found that a lot of people asked to visit our farm. Initially, we hosted for free. And then after a while, it was like, hey, we can't be doing this for free, because our time, we need to spend time growing the business. So we thought, why not, make it something that we can also make some money, right? So these are, in a way, the three kind of business revenue stream that we get, right? From installing the farm, from servicing the farm, and from providing education, right? So it is a kind of different model. I wouldn't say that it is far more profitable than selling vegetables, but I would say maybe slightly, right? And we are still trying to address the high cost in Singapore. As you know, the high cost for other businesses also affect us, right? And then similarly, we also, for most industries who are using migrant workers, right? We have to pay the levy. There is a quota, foreign worker quota, right? And then all businesses who want to buy vehicles also have COE to pay. So all these are actually taxes on business operations. While overseas, most agriculture overseas, right, the farmers, they enjoy farm subsidies from their government, even for operating costs. So in a way, Singapore is taxed for operating costs. Overseas, they are subsidized for operating costs, right? So if you look at,
I saw from your interviews that you already got a client in Japan. So is that the plan for this year moving forward?
We started 2024. Yeah. So we are still working on trying to expand our market, at least more of the revenue come from Japan, because Japan's cost is actually lower than Singapore, right? Hiring cost is half. Right. It's like the cost of living there is lower than Singapore.
Well, Joe, you are stationed in Japan. So what do you got to say about it?
Oh, I mean, I have friends who are into farming and they have connections to the Japan Agriculture Society. So I mean, or Japan Agriculture Association, something like that. I'm happy to link you guys up.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we're happy to do more in Japan because we think that down there, they have a population of 125 million. They have an aging population, right? They still need people to farm, but their farmers are all getting old.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah,
There's so
very old.
So many plots of land that are
abandoned, right?
Basically, nobody is doing anything about it. Yeah.
Okay, now
the farmer.
No, I'm just curious about since you're talking about the population things. Everyone knows that Singapore is a very, very small country, and in terms of sales that can be generated as compared to a bigger country, probably there is only about a fraction of it. So, how do you view Singapore potential as compared to overseas? Since you started from Singapore first.
Okay, Singapore actually, although we have less than 1% of land that's suitable for farmland, right? If today you take a drive through Kranji area, you will still see empty fields. It's not fully used. And it's not fully used because the economics just doesn't make sense. Yeah, so the thing is, if farmers are struggling to stay alive, then they can't be actually establishing a second farm, a third farm. They cannot scale. They cannot scale means the industry will shrink. It's the other way around now. The industry is shrinking. And it's precisely because of policies. So the thing is, the government policies are not supportive enough. Then the agriculture industry cannot grow. And I will tell you that around the world, agriculture, generally speaking, is not profitable. Okay. The ones that are profitable are those growing cash crops. Cocoa, coffee, avocado, right? All these are, in a way, cash crops, right? Commodities. Basically, if you have crops that last very long, there are different grading in the market and they recognize a premium grade. Those are the ones that actually make money. Vegetables can vegetables yourself, you don't have different grade of 小白菜, different grade of 奶白, you don't have such thing, right?
And just for Japan itself, it's like they actually throw away a lot of wastage if they don't meet the so-called quality standard per se. Yeah. So literally my friend can drive one truck, I can load up the full truck of cabbages that is unwanted because the quality don't match up. So this is also a problem that needs to be solved. Actually.
Correct. Yeah. So how we attempt to do that is grow your own food. When you grow your own food, there is very low chance you will throw the entire thing away. Because why? It's your baby, right? And then you know what you put into the food. So if it looks a bit ugly, but you know it's edible, you will still eat it, right? So the thing is, people don't recognize the value of it because they don't grow it. And then they treat it like a product, especially when you have many middlemen in between. Every middleman will QC what they receive, right? Correct. And when they QC, what happens? Some gets thrown away because they don't pass, right? If they say that, oh, this is a bit too ugly, although can be eaten, but if they don't think it can sell on the supermarket or the client will not want it, then they will just throw it away. So imagine if you have 3-4 middlemen in between. Wow, a lot of losses really. When you reach the final destination, you put in the supermarket, then if people don't buy before the shelf life, throw away again.
I guess this is more or less like a human behavior deficiency. Yeah, so we look at things that is pretty, that is nice, when people we want to purchase. Even that sometimes I got to confess, when during interview, I realized that a lot of bosses will like first impression first before they go into your capability. If your first
Human
impression
bias,
fail,
is it not? Is it not on us?
I guess the same thing goes for vegetables as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Just,
now
just very curious, James. It's like,
yeah.
what is the big vision for just Singapore itself? I just want to focus on Singapore because your clients are actually like schools, nursing homes, kind of things. So how many schools are there? How many nursing homes are there? And do you intend to like conquer like 100% of it? It's like, how does it look like for you?
100%. Our vision to have is like at least 1,000 all over the island, because if we have 1,000, I think we can even grow more than what we have right now. Now it's 3% only. 3% of leafy vegetables are growing in Singapore. 97 are imported. Right?
Do we have 1,000 schools in Singapore?
We have 300 over.
300 over. But 300 plus over. All the nursing homes and hotels. Hotels,
yeah, so you need to combine a lot more, more than just schools. Yeah. So I think probably 80% are schools right now. Over 10. We have 20 oversights right now. We are on a shopping mall, City Square Mall. That's our first one on shopping mall. We are in a hospital. There is Outram Community Hospital. It's the first one on the hospital also. And we are in the logistic distribution center. And then we are also in charity called Minds, Minds Autism. Yeah, that one is for employment development. So most of our clients, they choose urban farming because they want the intangible benefits from farming, not really just for the food. Of course, the food is good. It's just that they are not looking at the value from the food, like whether they can save money by growing their own. Okay, so very different from other commercial customers like hotels. So far, I've not been able to get a hotel on board because hotel always ask the same thing. Oh, my naipai, I grow myself, is it cheaper than I import? It's confirmed fresher, but the problem is it's not cheaper because if they don't want to farm themselves, they want us to farm for them, which means I hire my foreign worker to farm from them, and I pay the foreign worker levy, foreign worker quota. In the end, I have to transfer the cost to them, right? Right. So even if I grow for them, it's still going to be more expensive. Okay, but it's definitely fresher. Right. But again, if they don't see a local naipai different from import by naipai, then there's no point in trying to convince them.
Unless they are engaging your service to farm it at their own land or their premises. Would that have the same cost?
No, that wouldn't. They engage my service means that I will charge them for the fee for farming for them. Yeah.
Okay.
But it can be presented in like more of a employee mental health kind of angle, right? It's like because farming is quite meditative in nature, right? Yeah. So it's so it really depends. The framing,
depends on what they value. Yeah. So the thing is very interesting. When hotels approach me, they are looking at sustainability. They are looking at farm to table concept. But when they make decision, the decision is just dollar and cent.
It's commercial.
Yeah, it's just dollar and cent. How much can I save? Yeah. They wouldn't think of that by having this new farm to table concept, I can upsell my food and get a premium from it, and therefore I can pay for this difference, right? And then also the other way is that I ask them, can you change your menu? Okay, because they will send me that this is what I've been importing, right? And then and basically, Singapore, because we import most of our food, so the idea of seasonality doesn't apply. We want to eat whatever we want whenever we want, even when it's not growing in our country. So because of that, the chefs, I would say the menu that they create, right, is basically from food that you can get anywhere in the world. But if you talk about seasonal ingredients, there are some food that cannot be grown in Singapore. Strawberries can't be grown in Singapore, right? Cabbages can't be grown in Singapore. It's a temperate climate one, right? So the thing is, if I ask them, can you choose what can be grown natively, right? And can you choose the higher value one, right? Then it becomes something that, they might not want to do because to them constraint is a constraint, right? So just now I mentioned that you can't really get it cheaper, right? But let me tell you, if you try to grow like Italian basil, Italian basil actually is expensive because it's short shelf life. It comes in very, very small packets you will buy locally, right? And then it's costly, but we can grow very fast, a lot, right? Yeah.
So in order to cut down the cost further, do you think that by working with the prison, will that help? Like recently, we had a lot like yellow ribbon kind of program, and of course, there's some activities that some company was working very closely with the prison to help the prisoner before they step out of it. So, do you think that will actually help?
Yeah, I think if we can get some kind of labor that is cheaper, of course, it will help lah. Yeah, but we have to, in a way, find an opportunity to train these people also.
True. Upon saying, I mean, we hear you that this is definitely not going to be an easy industry. So when you first decided to step into this, what does your family, your friends going to say? Because there aren't any case study, for you to learn from. So what did they say when once you decided to step into this?
They say, how long are you going to do this? Give yourself a timeline. Because they know that
I'm just curious, what was the timeline you told them?
I said 1 year, then it became 2 years. Now it's coming to 4 years.
So what is the anticipated ROI or return on investment that you think you cater for yourself?
I mean, I'm still trying. I would say that the good thing is we are hitting 5 years soon. So, most companies startups within 3 years collapse already.
Yep. Pardon me, I think I need to correct the term these days. Nowadays, the survivability have been shortened to just 1 year.
1 year.
Any company, you can survive within the 1 year. Okay, congratulations. You can last for more than 3 years. You're actually quite healthy. 5 years, wow, you're almost achieving your success very soon.
Yeah, so I can't tell how much more time, but I hope within the next 2 years or so that we can really be more consistently I think hitting our targets. Yeah, I mean, we have revenue growth. The last 3 years consistently has been revenue growth, like 80% and above year on year. The problem is the cost growth, even crazier.
that one I totally reckon with you lah. This is something that as much as we as a business owner, we definitely like to control the cost and lower it as much as possible. And that's the reason why in my books, The Business Cancer, I definitely encourage a lot of business owners to collaborate and leverage on each other's strength rather than we ourselves, go and engage and employ people just to do things for us, which doesn't make much of the economical sense to me, compared to the last time where in the 50s, 60s that they need to do so. Yeah. Okay, now come back to the leadership things. Because understand that you are coming from somewhere that is more regimental. Is there any leadership differences compared to the army and being a business owner?
Okay, so although army is more regimental, but I actually hardly have to use all these stick methods to get people to do things. And really the way that we approach leadership in the military, because especially Singapore is a conscript military, right? That means all the soldiers almost everyone other than the regulars are unwilling soldiers.
They are the boss.
So it's like they have bopian. They no choice. Yeah. So when I took the volunteer corps, right, I was the pioneer, one of the pioneer leaders in the Singapore SAF volunteer corps. I tell you, the volunteers behave vastly different from NSF. Vastly different. When you talk to a group of volunteers, it's like you have a whole class of best trainee. Everybody is best trainee attitude. Can you imagine? In a NSF, you have one platoon, 30 person. Maybe your best trainee attitude people, maybe one handful. Right? Everybody is like, do the bare minimum or bopian or just blindly do whatever, do what you say. Correct? It's very different. So the thing is, but does that mean that you are hopeless? Right? So the thing is, my approach to leadership has always been, you try to, there are no bad soldiers. We always say there are no bad soldiers, there are only bad commanders. So if you have you're given a bunch of children, you don't get to choose who become your soldiers, right? Because every Singaporean son become your soldier. So that is not something that we try to argue with, right? So we already take it as it is, and then we try to motivate them. We try to instill purpose into them. And if you are a good commander, by the end of 2 years, your unwilling soldiers become willing soldiers, right? That's why a lot of NS men enjoy the ICT also. If they had a good time, had a great time during their NSF days. If their NSF days, they get a bad experience, then it will be a different thing as well. So same thing when we go out, right? We don't have military law. We live, right? In the SAF, you have military law, right? Because if they don't obey your orders, you can charge them for disobedience of lawful order, right? Correct? Yeah. Then throw them into DB, right? Whatever, or somebody trial them, right? Outside, you don't have such a thing, right? And then they also never swear by the SAF pledge, right? They never swear to give their life, right? They never swear to give their life to the company. So the thing is, it's a transactional thing, right? But then, nonetheless, if you only lead by transactions, same thing as in the military, nobody will do things happily for you. They will just do bare minimum, right? So I think the same approach is that you have to be authentic. You have to lead with empathy. You have to listen. You cannot boss people around, right? So I do the same thing in the military. I don't boss people around. No. So the thing is, the only time that I'm more assertive and curt is when it's a crisis. Fire burning already Then you cannot argue. Hey, let's argue. What to do? No time for that. Bullets flying, you have to just give orders and go, right? But that is very minimal. How often in the time of your 2 years when bullets are flying? Maybe during exercise only exercise not real one. Or maybe if you go deployment, right? But most of the time it's not. It's administrative, right? So outside is the same. Most of the time it's administrative, right? So I don't think there's a difference in how I did. Of course, today's Gen Z is also a bit more different, right? But the thing is, we also deal with Gen Z in the army. Same. It's exactly the same.
They are everywhere.
Everywhere. It's the same. So basically, the army is a microcosm of whatever society is out there right now. Yeah. So I don't think there's a difference, right? The only thing that is really, really very different is that you have SAF core values in the army, right? Now there's the 8 core values, right? So all these core values is like, in a way, all of us are become quite homogeneous in the military because we subscribe to the same values, right? Outside is different.
So just curious, for your company, right? It's like what are the values that you have instilled or you're instilling in your guys?
I mean, I always believe that we should walk the talk. Yeah. And walk the talk meaning that we are a sustainability right from the start company. We are not like a company that just decided to do sustainability after being around for 10 years, right? So if we say walk the talk, meaning that we cannot say that we encourage the community to be less wasteful and then we waste ourselves, Then in our design, we try to also use more energy efficient kind of like parts kind of thing, right? So small little things, basically what the talk means translating to all these small little things that you do every day, right? So it cannot be say one thing, do another thing, right? Then also, so I pushed my company. We were part of the Queen Bee program because in CDL, because I feel that if you're sustainably focused, then you need to be able to allow yourself to be your information to go out there in terms of what exactly are you doing that is sustainable. Yeah.
Totally agree. In fact, that's what we call the Tauke attitude, which means that in the 50, 60 era, where the Tauke, the boss, they will okay, I tell you what to do, you just do it. All right. Whether I can do it or not, it doesn't matter. Something like that. Whether I do whatever that I told you, no, it doesn't matter. So long as I pay you, okay, just execute what I want. So that's what we call the Tauke mentality. And back to the army days and compared to the leadership of the business arena, I would say that that probably is like objective driven, in the army camp. Our objective basically is just to complete the few years that we had in the army. stay safe, okay, and back to the civilian life. And what else? When we back to the civilian life and start to work on our own business in a business arena, we actually are more mission driven, just like the volunteer group that you probably were leading with. So they are more on mission driven. And I guess that's the whole difference in compared to the group that are forced to do whatever they need to do, and the group that is volunteer that they want to do.
Yeah, I think definitely, I think for sustainable companies, you are definitely much more purpose driven than other kind of companies. So what I mean purpose driven is that your mission statement is I want not like I want to make as much money as possible. That one to me is not a mission statement, not a purpose statement, right? So the thing is, we have a mission to actually try to bring food security, right? And specifically, we have a vision for cities and for desert area. So that's our focus, right? And then, so we also talk about sustainability. So this is our mission. So the thing is, if I tell you I can paint a picture of what I imagine my dream, then you'll be like urban farms on every rooftop in Singapore.
Hey, Jim, I want you to be honest with me on this. Is it very tough to engage industrial talent into what you are doing?
Engage, that means attract new talented people, is it?
Correct.
I don't think so. And I've been receiving like CVs in my mailbox from people that are like, you can be VP, in a bank, you can be a IT specialist, so people that I couldn't afford to hire, basically, but they are talented. Yeah, and they want to do something purposeful. They're looking for purpose. Yeah. So I feel that if the company is truly authentic and really do what it says that it wants to do and it has a purpose, it will draw people, right? Okay, but the thing is, draw people is one thing. I must be able to pay them, right? Right? Yeah. So I cannot pay them. I also don't dare to hire them already, right? So the thing is, then now it's like on me to constantly try to reinvent the business model or update it to something that really can make money. Because to me, okay, there's a reason why we are not a social enterprise or a charity. Because social enterprise and charity cannot grow. They cannot do, because they are quite limited, right? They rely on donations and all that. If you cannot make money, you cannot scale. You cannot scale means your influence and your impact will not grow. And if that doesn't happen, then you cannot move the needle. So end of the day, we want to do things that move the needle because 2030 is coming, right? 2030.
Yeah, that's the sustainability timeline, right? Yeah.
Correct. The UN SDG, you need to turn the tide by then, no? Then the thing is, we're not turning the tide. We're still doing, playing in our own sandbox.
So are you guys adopting like AI or any quantum technology kind of thing to help to speed up the process?
We are just using for productivity. We're not doing for other things, because honestly, AI is also there's a bubble out there. How many companies are really making money from AI? I would say the data centers are, the chip makers are, but the next layer, those that are relying on AI on all these data centers to create the software and the business model, right? So a lot of them, I would say that they are still relying on funding. Okay, and in agriculture, I think I recently saw a study that is the least, I don't know what's the term for it, least AI industry, if there's a word out there, right? Least. Okay. The question is, if we go in that way, right? The thing is, what exactly is the AI going to do that will have value for the company?
Probably robotics then.
Robotics are out there already. There are some robotics out there. Yeah. So the thing is, we have to really think. Yeah. So the thing is, or else we just go there to just create an app. So I also talked to Google before. Then they say, hey, what about using AI to help you recognize the diseases or the pests? Today you use Google reverse search. You don't even need an app. Google reverse search, the Gemini will tell you what is the name of the plant, what is the pest there, what is the treatment options, right? So if 1 year ago I decide to go and do this thing, now I'm already obsolete, right? So the thing is, we have to really think very hard. There are others that I only seen one use case that was really, I was very impressed in agriculture. Otherwise, I'm nothing. Everything is just like very surface level, very easy to be overtaken. Yeah.
So what is the biggest obstacles you think currently you are facing?
In Singapore specifically is policy incoherence. Okay, why? Because you talk about last time 30 by 30, right? Now become 20 by 2035, right? Correct. They updated basically they kicked the goalpost down the road, further goalpost now. Okay. But the thing is, then I still ask the same thing, that your field is still uneven. That means your goalpost further, but your field is still uneven. Why? Because imports are highly subsidized, local produce are taxed. Your price differential is 2 to 3 times, Singapore produce 2 to 3 times more expensive. How in the world can you even compete? You cannot compete. So most of the farmers in Singapore, they can grow, they cannot sell. And they end up with like half the harvest become food waste, or they have to give to charity. I mean, to me, this is a market intervention. This is a need for market intervention. Because, so the thing is, but Singapore, we say open economy, we don't want to intervene. Then the natural scheme of things is that Singapore farms close down. That's logic, right? You look at any industry, if local product is 2 to 3 times more expensive, nobody appreciates it. Most people don't care about whether it's a China nai pai or a Singapore nai pai or Malaysia nai pai. As long as it's a cheap nai pai, they buy the nai pai.
Because they can't tell the difference anyway.
Yes, exactly. Singaporeans can't tell the difference, really. If you come from Australia, the Australian will tell you, how come Singapore vegetables look so dry, yellow? They see already, they cannot understand why our vegetable looks so bad. And then when they see something from a Singapore local farm, they say, wow, this is good. But Singaporeans, we are all used to the China, Malaysia, whatever, or Thailand. So we cannot appreciate, we're not willing to pay a premium for it, right? And really, there is no grading system. Right? It's not like durian, you got Mao Sang Wang, you got Black Thorn, you got D24, and for every grade difference, there's a price jump. And people appreciate and willing to pay the difference. Right? Today, I wouldn't even eat D24, but I think 1-2 decades ago, D24 was the big thing, right? Then now it's Black Thorn already, right? But people were willing to pay. But there's no such thing in Nai Pai.
That remind me of a interesting point that I realized. Some other countries, even Malaysia, our neighbor, we realize that the local are very supportive to their local brand. And in Japan as well, where Joe, you were stationed there, I realized that, Japanese support their own local brand, like the beer, like sake, kind of things. Whereas if other imported brand, unless they have different kind of standard and flavor, then probably, they'll be prone to try. But however, when it comes to Singapore, we somehow or rather support overseas brand more than local brand. Unless you get famous overseas and you venture back into Singapore, then probably yes. Yeah, I think this Singapore brand is good. Do you face this kind of situation?
I mean, no prophet is welcome in their own land. That's what people say. I mean, it applies to whatever Singapore, whether it's brand or it's an artist, it's the same thing. They get famous overseas, then they come back. Then it's like, wow, you've made it. If you want to be homegrown, very difficult. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's something that we're trying to resolve, which is that our own homegrown brand, be it agriculture or be it technology or even in management, marketing, overseas is always look much better than local talent. I think this is a thing that somehow a perception that's been input into our mind for generations. Do you reckon that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a Singapore thing also. Some other countries also have the same problem with this. But it's just also Singapore's market is very, very small. 6 million. Your validation is 6 million. If you're in China, your validation is 1.4 billion. you get what I mean? So the thing is, Singapore is very small market lah. Then that's why so it's both the locals don't immediately recognize talents among them. Second is also the Singapore market is very, very small. Yeah.
So back to the topic on talents, right? I don't know if you read, but there's this book called Exponential Organizations, written by Peter Diamandis and Salim Ismail. I think it's a highly recommended read. So there's this concept called a massive transformational purpose. Yeah, and they're actually encouraging all the EXOs to actually adopt this massive transformational purpose in their company. And of course, there's a certain framework on how do you scale or 10x your business per se. So I mean, if you're interested in business books, I think that is one of the recommended reads.
Sure. I think there is now a greater focus on it. I mean, there's this phrase called profit with a purpose, right? Yeah, and also there's also a lot of encouragement, UNPRI, Principles of Responsible Investing, for investors to be actually responsible, right? So the idea that business only answers to the shareholders kind of thing is already getting passé already. So businesses have to have a wider focus on all stakeholders, and including the environment as one of our stakeholders, the earth, basically, right? So I think that's the good thing actually for us, because if you are one of the pace setters in front, right, and then you will differentiate yourself compared to other businesses, right? And really it's about tone from the top. What does your top person, your founder, believe in? Because in small businesses, actually it's just that one person on top, one or two, that shapes the culture. Whatever that person emphasizes, and if the team catches it, that will become the culture of the organization. No? Yeah. So I think that it is important for us, because actually for sustainability focused company, if you are not purpose driven, how do you retain people? You can't. Money? There's no money. There's not much money. I won't say no money, not much money. Okay. Yeah. So you need something purposeful for them to come to work every day. Correct? And believe that their returns are more than just money, are just the impact that they create, right? The good that they do for others, for the environment, for the people around them, that kind of thing. Then they will come to work. Which is not very different. Yeah, the motivation. So it's not very different from military, if you ask me. There was a time, I tell you a quick story. The time when I was OC, my company was doing NDP, laying tarpaulin. There was time the old stadium was around. What's laying tarpaulin? There was a period of time they like to cover the field up, right? So that the marching contingent march on the tarpaulin rather than on the grass. My company has the unglamorous job of laying tarpaulin every Saturday for rehearsal. Then they are first in, last out, because they got to lay the tarpaulin before the parade. And then after that, then they do parade already. After that, they got performance, right? All the light show, everything finished. By the time 8+ already, 9+, then got to remove. Why? Because if they don't remove tarpaulin, all the grass die. And then basically in between, you cannot play soccer. Then National Stadium will, be very unhappy. Okay. So my company called Light Strike Company. Then after a while, I heard that they are calling themselves Labor Supply Company.
So LS.
LSC, Labor Supply Company. Because they feel they are doing, we like to use the term saikang. Right. Pardon my French.
Just in case some of them don't understand what saikang is, it means shithole.
Yeah. So they feel their NS is doing this kind of thing. Then as a commander, I'm like, oh man, if my company have their morale drop until like that, and the time NDP haven't come, it's like, NDP, you start May rehearse all the way until August, right? Right. August haven't even come. They will actually fizzle out before that already. Then I can give them pep talk .
So you might think of a way to motivate them, to make them think that they are not cheap labor, and they are doing this for a good cause that is very meaningful down the road.
Yeah.
Despite that,
So so
yeah.
like you say, correct, exactly right. So I had to talk to them, right? So I basically use these there's this parable that of a guy laying bricks, the bricklayer, right? So the thing is, the bricklayer was laying. Then an observer will say that, hey, this is a hard job lah. Why are you doing this? You know. Then the bricklayer basically, the reason why he's so motivated, he's not looking at that my job is just laying a brick. My job is building the house, right? And it's not just a house, right? It's a home. You see the difference? So at the point of time, 2003 was SARS. Remember SARS? So I have the difficult job of trying to helping the nation celebrate again after SARS, right? So I basically use this to basically tell them hey, the nation went through a very tough patch where a lot of people died during SARS, right? And then now your job is to give confidence back to the nation that we have overcome. And without what you do, we can't do it. Although you see your job as laying tarpaulin back and forth, but the thing is, there's a bigger thing that's going on right now, right? So that time there was also a discussion going on, is that should we can NDP for that year? We have never done so before, right? Because it's an extraordinary crisis that we should. It's good enough reason to say that we don't celebrate lah. Because what if you try to celebrate and people kena again, right? Then, but the thing is, it's a crisis of confidence. The government framed it as it's a crisis of confidence. We need to restore the confidence. And then I just use that to explain to my guys. Not that after I explained that it's no more complaints, there are probably still are complaints. But at least
I'm not sure that the part that happened that if I'm going to be your guy, I probably will pop out this question. Out of so many contingent and platoon, why us and not others?
That's true also. That's true. You're right. Yeah.
So
you're the selected one.
Wow. Can I not be selected, please? Hey, no,
and they just nice select the acronym, just nice LSC some more.
I think apparently they choose probably you guys are the toughest, one of the toughest in the army. Because it's not going to be an easy job just to lay that.
Yeah, just take time.
Hey, I'm very curious. Let's say given the opportunity to start all over again, will you still do what you are doing now?
I think so. Because
Why?
I really learned a lot. Really learned a lot. Yeah, I would say that you like crash course, a crash course in business. Yeah, and a crash course in it's like civilian conversion course. Last time we called guards conversion course. It's civilian conversion course, Immerse yourself into it. I mean, I wanted to go for a corporate job actually, which is what most SAF retiree officers do, right? And they usually do they went to some government-linked company, right? Yeah. So for me, I told myself that I want to start afresh. I want to go out experience for myself, Don't want to go to an environment that is familiar people, and then everything is predictable. So I want to go out there and see how I will fare out there. And I always think that I'm quite adaptable because I've been thrown in a deep end for many times already. Not intentionally by bosses, but it's more like the operations like tsunami, I was thrown there without knowing what is humanitarian assistance, right? Then I was in the COVID task force. Then I was also in Iraq as well. During 2017, the counter ISIS thing, and I was leading a medical deployment. I was like, hey, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a doctor. I'm in medical deployment. I'm not a doctor. I'm here in COVID task force, So the thing is, I think it's a matter of adapting, for me, it's I think without going into this business, I would say that I probably wouldn't have the kind of steep learning curve I had. Yeah. I'm still learning.
Adaptability is actually one of the key traits that a lot of our guests on this podcast has brought up before. Yeah, so the key thing really in business, you need to be very, very, very adaptable. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Very, very different. Army, you do maybe your long-term planning, like you got 10-year plan, you got 3-year plan. Down here, it's like every few months you plan. You know, and every time you got to keep thinking about how to stay afloat, how to get ahead,
Yeah. Last time when we do business strategy development, it's really about 10 years, or even look further, 20 years kind of thing. But nowadays, you can just plan for 2 years. I think it's good enough. From 3 years, I even cut it down to 2 years. And then just focus on the next 90 days. 90 days.
Hey, since you two guys are a ex-regular in the army before, is there any one thing for those that enter their contract soon and want to venture into business arena? What is the one thing you're going to say to them? James, you start first.
Say to them, I think first know what you want. Because last time, I think was now 13 years ago, 14 years ago, I did my combined staff college. Right? And one module is called life purpose. Of course, some people take it seriously, some people don't. I took mine seriously, right? Because I will say that it is a very difficult module. It's simple and yet it's difficult. Because today, if I go outside interview, hey, what is your life purpose? I tell you, everybody gets stuck. Most people don't know how to answer. Similarly, officers as well don't know how to answer. Okay. And then, but I took it seriously. I wrote it down in 2012. What is my life purpose? Before I left in 2022, I took it out again. It's still on my iPhone, Apple Notes. 10 years later, I took it out. I asked myself, is this still relevant? Answer is yes. Okay, then if this is really still relevant, what is it that you want to do? Just now I mentioned about ikigai, right? That's how I map my whole life purpose to what I want to do. Because if you are sure of what you want to do, then you will be persevering, right? Then you will be, your general direction at least is clear. If you don't get your general direction right, then you are, anything goes. And basically you won't last long. Anything that you do won't last long. Okay, so that is the first step. Know your ikigai. Yeah. Okay, Joe.
Joe, what are you going to say?
Yeah, too many things actually. but I think really, when you step up from the army, it's really time to unlearn and relearn about things because in a way, when I first left the army, right, I joined a Japanese company who is based in Thailand. Yeah. And I was working with a group of Thais. So I was like fresh out of the army. The fire is like still very big, right? But then end of the day, the Thai culture is like 仔yen yen, 仔yen yen, meaning to say stay cool. So you cannot rush them. You cannot give them deadline. Because end of the day, it's like they'll still use their own pace. So yeah, I think we just need to really just unlearn everything. And then when you step into a new environment, relearn it. Yeah. And to maybe summarize it using James' words, be adaptable. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, now James, before we end this session, do you have any advice or anything for our audience who may want to step into urban farming arena?
Again, ask yourself if that is your purpose. Yeah. Because or else again you won't last. Yeah, I have people that because my company we conduct a joint course with Republic Poly on aquaponics. And then most of the attendees will ask me about business. Right. So they want to set up a farm in Singapore.
Seriously?
So, yeah, a lot of them. Then I will have to tell them the hard truth.
And what is the reaction by the end of the day?
I think they are a bit disappointed. Yeah. Because a lot of people, they only know the what is on the tagline, 30 by 30. They don't know what's beneath it.
Actually, I totally agree with you. You know, when I was having the opportunity to speak to a group of students before they graduate, and many have the kind of ambitious, going into business arena. And I was telling them is that first thing first, you got to ask yourself, are you ready for the impact of the setback that you're going to face? And many don't believe. Many were thinking that when I step into the business arena, it's going to be a success because of the idea that they had. But they actually totally ignore there are other factors that will affect their future success. So, factor like, for example, experience. I think experience is very important. Without any guidance from those that already, done the same thing before, or without any much of the case study, then trying something new is pretty dangerous. Number one. Network, I would say that is very important as well. So despite that we may have a very advanced technology these days, but human network is somehow still a value where if you have the necessary network, definitely, yes, you will have more chance and opportunity that you can actually engage. Yeah, so these two main points, which a lot of students who step into business arena without all this, in fact, face quite a furious impact when they realize that how come it's not like what they heard on those successful story and businessmen that had gone through the path before. Yes. And after that, I realized that they never want to step into a business arena anymore, thinking that it's probably is a myth to believe.
Which I actually think is a good thing. Yeah, because they need to fail. Yeah. You wouldn't succeed without failing. It's like, they just need to bite the bullet and carry on.
Yes.
Start another new thing using the lessons learned. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So James, at the end of the show, we will put whatever convenient contact, at the end of our podcast, so that whoever interest party can connect with you, maybe for collaboration or some business idea that they probably want to see if it's workable, with you. I think you have our salute, on what you are doing. Yes. So we just hope that you open career options for those who may want to try something different from the mainstream. I always believe this, nothing is impossible until you make it possible. So remember to subscribe to our podcast and see you on our next podcast.
Yeah,
Thank you, James.
So James, before I end, let the mission drive you. This is your quote. All right, thanks, guys. All right,
thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.